Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world away, and as you can see I've got an absolute massive car in front of me here. This is the 1/6 scale Deagostini Collectibles Mustang. We're going to be doing the next pack today, which means we're going to be actually putting a lot of the electrics in, the floor pan in, and the engine surround. And the reason I know we're doing that is because, as you can see, I've already done it. And it's looking just like this. And I'm going to show you today how we did that. Now, I've had loads of emails regarding this because people have been struggling with it. So I'm hoping my video today can help you out to get this working, get the steering working. So believe me, the steering is quite funky to get in, but I managed to do that, no problems at all. But if you want to get this for yourself, I don't know if this is still available. Check your territory. I have put a link in the video description. There's also that QR code on the screen. But without further ado, let's get cracking. So stage 99, this is where this fiddliness is going to start. And basically, we're actually going to start creating the engine housing. A lot of cables here. We've got the battery box here, a bit of the suspension as well. So we're going to be putting this all together like you can just see there. It does mean that I've got to have the car up. And that's why, as you can see, I'm going to have to zoom out cameras, I'm thinking, to actually do this. Let me put that back down there again. And this is the rest of the magazine. So let's do stage 99. And as you can see, everything we get on this build is just so oversized. Like that's the size of my hand there. So it gives you an idea of how big this is. So the first thing I want is the shock absorber body looking like this. And if I'm holding this part of the engine housing here, this is actually going to go in here. Now there is a notch on here so that when I put this in, it's going to fit flush in there. Just like that. I'm holding that in from this side here. Gonna have to try and get a screw just through that hole. It's a PSO5 screw. So a long shaft screwdriver here to get that in all the way. And that will ensure that that's in nice and tough there. Now we're going to be putting the battery holder in there. This is quite clever. This is actually just going to go into this slot here. So it does mean I've got to take the cable for this and pass this through here. Get it all the way in, and then basically it's just going to be sitting into this section here, and it sort of sits comfortably in there like that. It should be flush to the bottom, and it is going to house 3 AAA batteries, so I think now is probably a good time to put them in. So I just so happen to have them here. I'm hoping that means it will be easy to put them in when the car's actually built. We have worked on the radiator. We're now going to be attaching the radiator to this section here. And that means we're just basically going to be taking this over onto these 2 lugs just here and here. That's going to be held in with PSO5 screws. I think this is a lot easier now. It's so big. Just one here. So now that is looking like that. I could just put that to one side because I now need to open this little packet here which has got a brake line in it. Bring the car over, and believe me, I'm always going to glue these pieces in, but there is a nipple, probably best on the top camera, just onto the brake caliper here. Put some glue on there and I'll insert the pipe onto the nipple. So that's in place just like that. Then I'm going to put the suspension rod in between this section here of the suspension. I'm hoping one of the cameras can pick that up. And I want to put a pin through here to hold that into place. Now, the pin looks just like this. It's got a rough end. That's the last end you put in. Put in the smooth end in first, but to make things easy, put the tip of it into a bit of oil first. Line that up. Give that a wiggle to make sure that you've got that in the right place. So that's not going to go anywhere. And then once you've got that, this is where I use my trusty duckbill pliers to push that all the way through. And that is looking good. That's in place. All I've got left to do then is take the spring of the shock and I'll be able to put that just over the top, just like that. That's all there is to do in that stage. So that leads us swiftly on to stage 100. Here's the instructions. And again, we've got some more parts of the engine housing. Look how many details are in this one. Piecing all of this together, just like this. What is this? This is the brake reservoir, is it? Yeah, I think it is. Putting all this together onto the housing. So then we've got the 3 walls. We've got 2 walls and actually the radiator, just like that. And here's the rest of the magazine. Okay, so this is the front firewall and the brake servo. Okay, look, lots of little fiddly parts here, but it's this section that we're going to need first. We're actually going to start making the brake reservoir. And that just means we're going to be putting these 2 parts together first. There is guiding pins for this, so it's going to make one complete unit here. Again, I think the fact that this is a lot bigger is making things a little bit more easier than the 1.8 cars, but I have got some tiny, I say tiny, PS14 screws here, even though these are big, just to hold this together. We only need 1 screw in here. Just going in there like that. Okay, now I've got this brake reservoir closure looking like this. I'm going to be putting this in now. This goes into the holes here, one this side, and into the hole just onto the other side here. Now, even though I've got that in, I will warn you that mine broke really easily there. I've had to glue it back together, just like that. But this is now going to be going into the servo here. It has got a keyhole pattern, so it can only go in one way. It's going to go in just like that, held in from the other side with a PS05 screw. This is a flange screw here. And then I'm going to be putting that to one side. Bringing over this part of the pressure pump here. And I've got this detail here to put into place. Now I do have a locating lug on this. So it goes in from here, just like this, fitting on top. Turn it over, held in with a PS14 screw. Then this is going to be going onto this section here. So it's just a case of lining these 2 parts up, clipping them together just like that. And again, PS14 screw to hold this together. 1 screw hole just in the bottom there. There we go. It's looking good. Let's put that to one side for a second, because I do have this pipe here, which I'm going to need to put this nipple into. So it's just a case of threading this on. It is a tight fit, so I don't think I'm going to need to glue it, but that's now on just like that. Now this is going to be going onto the top of this section just here. Just like that. And then this new part of the bulkhead here, I'm now going to be putting this into place. So again, it's just lining up with the locating lug there on here. Just like that. When that's in place, once again, PS14 screws to hold this in. One here. And one just at the other side, just here. Now I've got this little fitting here, which is going to go into this indent like that there. Once again, turn that over, and a PS14 screw to hold that in. And then with that in place, looking just like this, I'm going to be piecing that together with what we just created on this section here. So again, 2 lugs here going into there, just like that. That's going to be held in with PS11 screws. These are the flange screws. That is looking good. And now what I want to do is take the cable that's coming from the battery. I want to hook that into this cavity just here, which is sort of like a tidy for the cable, if you like, just on the corner. Then that's going to go over to this side over here. And it sort of wraps into this cable tidy here. And with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. So stage 101, this is the magazine again. And we've got the other part of the housing here. And we're going to be completing that. So that's now looking like this. And this is the rest of the magazine. Okay. Detailing this section as the engine compartment left bulkhead. So bringing over what we just created, I'm now going to be putting the last side of this on. So once again, we've got two lugs on this side going into here, and I need those flange screws to hold them in. These are the PS11 screws. And then just in the front here, these two parts here that are going to connect to the radiator, this one's going on top of this one here. There is a locating lug in that, so it should slip in lovely, and a PS05 screw is going to hold that into place. So as you can see, we now have that whole engine surround there. Put that to one side. Once again, bring over the car, and it's this side I'm interested in now. And once again, I've got the shock absorber rod, which is going to go into here, and I've got the pin to put in, which once again, the smooth side in first with a bit of oil on it. Line it up. Perfect. And when you've got it where you want it, got my duckbill pliers to push that into place like that. Excellent. Then I've got the spring, which is going to go over the top again, just like that. Once again, I've got a brake fluid tube to put on, which is going to go on that caliper, which unfortunately, I can't see, so I'm going to have to turn the car around. Now, because I delight in missing parts out of this stage, because I was so eager to get this part in as well, we've got to put this shock in as well, just like we did for this side. So we've got this in this side here. I need to put one in this side. Doesn't matter, I can still do that now. So it's just a case again of lining this up, putting this in like that, and then I'm going to hold it from the top here with a PS05 screw. I do delight on these fiddlier builds, forgetting to do things, but there we go. That's it on that side, just like that. And that's all there is to do in that stage. It's getting hard to move around here because of how big this car is. But we will move swiftly on to stage 102, which is the penultimate stage. Got the speaker here. Going to be putting this into place on the car here. So that's now looking like that. This is the rest of the magazine. And I've just noticed in the last stage of this pack, it's all electrics by the look of it. So yeah, I think things are going to get very fiddly now. Okay, so the first bit I need is the battery here. So what I'm going to do first is put the terminals just on the battery. So I've got the gold terminal here, and it has got a shape, so it can only go in one way. So that one's going to go in just like that there. It's going to be held in from the other side for a PS31 screw. And I'll just screw that terminal into place. On the other side here, I've got the terminal that's going to go there. And once again, one of the small screws here. So both of those terminals are in place. Then I've got the battery clamp or bracket going over the top, just like that. This time I want PS05 screws to put that in. Just wondering if, has this got a separate way it goes in? I mean, it can go in either way, to be honest with you. Let's put that in there. Two PS05 screws to hold this in. Excellent, so that's the battery done. Put that to one side. Now, bringing the car over here, we haven't actually put any of this section in here. Now we haven't actually put the interior in the car yet. I just put it basically resting on there. Look how dusty this is. Let's get some of this dust off. I'm going to be putting the speaker into place now. Now the speaker can only go in, well, I don't know why I'm dusting that. You're never going to see this. Speaker's just going to go into this area here. So make sure you put it the right way round. So speaker's going to go this way round with the LL facing upwards like that. I need the clamp to put that into place. So that's going to go over the top here. Just like that. Hopefully one of the cameras is picking that up. And I'm holding that in with PSO5 screws. One there. And one there. Okay, put that to one side. And bring over this housing, because this is quite clever actually. Remember I told you I didn't know how we get to the battery. Well, the battery of the car is actually where the battery box is. Now this doesn't get screwed in, this just actually pushes over the top here. So when it comes time to change the batteries, all I've got to do is lift up this whole battery. I can change the batteries underneath there. That's very clever. Now just looking at the batteries, of course I've got to miss something out, and that is these plugs which go into the holes just here. So what I'm going to do is get them in now. They actually go into here. There's 6 of these. I don't know why I'm missing out so much today. It's going to be hard to get this in with that bracket in now. So what I'll do is I'll just cut away and we'll come back once these are all in. I blame the fact that I've been away. A bit rusty. I really don't know who I'm trying to kid, you know, because I'm always making mistakes. The reason I've taken it off actually is because we do have to put some cables into this battery. There we go, that's how the battery should look. let's pretend I did that. Let's pretend that yeah, I didn't forget that at all. There we go, battery's back in place. Right, okay. What I want to do, put that to one side and take this junction box here, and in this junction box I'm going to be putting 2 of these pipes. So if I'm holding it this way round, the shorter one is going to go on this side, like that. The longer one is going on this side over here. Bringing over the battery box again, this is going to go into the wall, just at the side of the battery, probably best on the top camera. I have got a locating lug for that to go in. I'm screwing it in from the other side with a PS11 screw. Once again, this is a flange screw. Just into the hole here. Then what I'm going to do is put some glue just on these battery terminals, because I don't want these coming off. And the shorter lead here is going into the gold terminal. And the longer lead here is going into the silver terminal. And there you go. That's looking pretty impressive, but now we're at the point where I can actually mount this to the car. So this is going to be extremely fun. Now when I put this in, I need to make sure the suspension is going into each one of the housings that I've got each side. Okay, so that's good. So they're lined up each side there. That's going to help actually. Push that wire there to push this into position here. Now I have got the force, don't want to trap that dipstick in there, of the spring to contend with. So I think what's probably best is to put one down first and get that locked into position just on one side. So let me do that. Now I'm just going to see what screws. It's DS02 screws I need for this. This also ensures that I'm lining it up. To be fair, once you've got one screw in, it's not too hard. Getting that one screw in is the hard bit. But it's looking good. As you can see, I've got one side in perfectly there. Let me just do the other side. And there you go, with the 4 screws in place. As you can see, that's in there solidly now. Whew, that was fun. All I'm going to do then is put this engine bracing just to the top. So it's going to go in each side here. Let's get this one in as well. There. Perfect. And that's all there is to do in that stage. That's looking really good. So fair bit to do on this pack, isn't there? This is the last stage of this pack. As you can see, it's all cables and circuit board. So we're going to be mounting the circuit board just like this. We've got some clips as well, and then we're going to be putting all of the wires into the vehicle. So that's how it's looking there. It looks like we get to mount the interior as well. Okay, this is the rest of the magazine. And as I said, look, there's a lot of wires. So if I just drag all of that over to one side, because the first thing to do is really easy, and basically, hopefully you can see this on this camera here. On this wall, I've got the reservoir for, God, I said that wrong again, reservoir for the water bottle, which is just going to go in here. And that just clips into the side like that. Okay. Now I'm going to need to mount the circuit board now. And the circuit board gets mounted, if I move this over onto this section just here. This is what the circuit board looks like. And it's going to be seated into position just like that there. Now I need some PS05 screws. And I want to screw that into place in two spots. One at the back here. And then just one down in this corner here. The other two have actually got pins in, which is just letting you align that up. Now all of these wires are labelled, so as you can see this is number 9 from the speaker, so I'm going to plug that into the port number 9 on the circuit board. Just like that. That's in place. Now probably best to try and find cable 1 now. This is cable 1 here. Now this is a 3-pin plug, and that's going to plug all the way down here. Now with this cable, we're just going to be passing it underneath these 2 clips here. So one here and one here. That's going to keep that nice and neat in there, as you can see. Okay. Then I want cable 2. That's going to plug into the port here. And once again, it's going to follow the journey of cable 1 underneath these clips here. I like the wire tidy in this. This is great. Now every wire that I'm connecting to this is going to be going underneath these clips here. So I'm just going to be going all the way up from 3 all the way to 17, putting all the wires in. So let's do that now. Now we've got to remember we've already put cable 9 in because that's the speaker. So I'm going to skip over that and do number 10. I do find it strange that we're putting all of these in all the way up to 17. And they're all going towards the front of the car. Doesn't look like there's any cables going towards the back of the car yet. Now as I'm coming to the end of this, I have to say this is an ingenious way of doing the cables. I really do like this. All the cables are now in that channel, and because these are metal clips, these aren't going anywhere. But it just makes it lovely and neat. Now we do have some cables from the engine here, which is cable 10, which comes from the battery box. Now I can connect that automatically now to plug 10 that I fed through. So that means now power is going to the board by connecting those two up. Now I'm ensuring all of these wires are actually missing all of the points just here. So when they're all in, I do need to just condense down this area just here with all the wires to pin them into the channel there as well. So as you can see, they're lying completely flush. That's what this clip here is for. That's just going to go in here like this. That's going to be held in with a DS02 screw because it is going into metal, but it does ensure that now all of these cables that are plugged in are perfectly flat. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to ensure, let me just try and find a nice tidy route for this cable here. want to ensure that everything is pretty much just coming out the side for a second, because I'm about to put the interior onto the car. So I want to make sure that none of these points here have got a cable on them, which they haven't. That's looking pretty good. And I'm going to just rest this now onto the car, just like that. Now I'm going to try and back this up, because what I want to do is all the cables that are coming out from this dashboard, I'm now going to need to plug into the cables that are coming out of the side here. So I'm going to connect all of them up now. So they're all connected. Now any wire which isn't connected here needs to come out of the side of the car here. So I'm just going to sort that out now. And when I start putting this in, I need to make sure that the steering is going through the hole in the firewall there. Now I'm pretty happy by the look of it where that's sitting. I'm making sure that I'm not on any wires. I'm not pinching any. That's looking good. So that's the interior on. Now with the steering, it's very hard to see, but when I'm putting this on, I need to ensure that it's inside. And again, I don't know if you can see this on the top camera, but I'm making sure that the steering is now engaged into the worm gear here. Which by the look of it, it is. Now this is one that's going to try you all. As a matter of fact, I've had emails about this, about how hard this is going to be. Right, I'm going to make this easy. What I've made sure of is that the hole of the steering wheel is matched to the worm gear in here. Once it is, you want to get yourself some really strong pliers like this. Grip that really tight. Put some oil on the end. And I'm going to be pushing this down here onto the worm gear. Now once you've got it in there, you should be able to push the steering wheel down while you're holding it, which I've done. And now I'm going to push that all the way into the worm gear, which is in now. And that should now control the wheels. As you can see, they're moving very slowly, but they are moving, as you can see. Needs power steering. Now I need these PS05 screws now, because I'm going to be fitting the interior onto the chassis. So that's just a case of putting it on its side and screwing this into position. Now there's 4 screws. You know, I actually found connecting the floor pan harder than actually doing that worm gear. Last thing to do is to put this radiator pipe in. So one end's going into this blue lug here, the other end goes into the radiator just here. Perfect. And then the last thing to do is these brake pipes here, which are impossible to show you. There is a nipple just onto the bulkhead just here. I'm going to connect each brake pipe, each side to those. And I don't know if you can see that's in there. It's like that on both sides, but that is what the engine looks like when it's installed. This is what the interior looks like when it's installed. All the electrics are in. Massive stage, but that's all there is to do in that stage. And there you go. All done. So I think that's the hard bit done, because I reckon putting the body over the top of this is going to be a breeze now. Obviously the electrics are in place, so I'm guessing going forward we're going to be doing these massive bits of bodywork, putting headlights in and stuff like that, all ready to connect to all of these cables coming out the side here. But I really hope you liked that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.